Welcome back. This is just a beginner guide on getting sprites and content loaded into your project and learning to work with images. It's just going to be a very basic setup tutorial. In the last video we got our MonoGame project set up in VB. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this project and create a copy of it, paste it in here, and I'm just going to call it sprites since that's the focus of this one. I'm going to go in and I will go ahead and launch the project. Okay, now that that's loaded, I'm going to change the name of my project here. I like to keep all these folders separate, so whoops, I'm going to call this one sprites, and I'm also going to change the solution name to sprites. Once we do that, we've broken some things, so we just got to go into our program.vb, make sure that we update our namespace to use the new project name. I want to change that in our game project as well. Give that a test run and our project should launch. Alright, I'm going to close that out. We're going to be working in the Game 1 class. Normally you want to keep this class kind of clean, and you can move all your content and texture loads and stuff out to globals if you want, or any number of other ways you can handle that. But for the sake of this demonstration, we'll just be using our Game 1 class. So let's get started by adding a texture 2D variable here. So we can make that private, public, whatever you want. I'm just going to call it T2D as a texture 2D. That's pretty easy. So now that we have that, we actually need to load some graphics to use, and we'll load them in the content after we do that. And to do this, we're going to use the content builder. If you expand content, you should see this content.mgcb. So you can just double click on that from here, and it should launch the little application. And this will allow us to build content for our projects. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some items here. So I'm going to right click on content and add existing item. And I need to browse out to the folder that I have some graphics saved in. So I've got my media and stuff here. And we have graphics. I think I will use the dragon and maybe a tile set here just for this demonstration. So go ahead and open whatever you have available. And I'm going to copy it to the directory. So I'm just going to say add. You can check that box if you want it to not ask you for the rest of your items. Alright, so now we have some files loaded here. Next thing we need to do is build this. So we'll run the build, and if everything goes well, you have proper formats and whatnot, you should get these green checkboxes. So once you do that, you can just close out of that little builder. And now we are ready to load these into our application. Currently it's just a cornflower blue screen, so we want to try drawing a sprite to the screen. So first thing we need to do is take our T2D variable and equals content.load, and you'll say of texture 2D. Sorry. And here we'll enter the path to the image, and what you'll see here is this content folder, and you can actually add other folders to this and use subfolders, like, you know, if you want to separate out your graphics and audio files and things like that, you can add them through that content builder, and then you'll call that directory. So if I did have a graphics folder that looks something like this, I would put in a string like GFX is my folder, and then you just enter the name of the file without the file extension. So you won't put in .png, you just call dragon or tileset. So it would look just like that. I don't have a graphics folder, I didn't add one, so I'm just going to call dragon. And we should be ready to draw it at this point. We may want some more variables here, like a destination to draw it to on the screen. So what we'll do is we'll use a rectangle for that. So I'll say private, I'll call it T2D area. You can call it surface, screen, area, whatever you want. And this is just going to be a rectangle. And I'll give the dimensions. The area we want to draw to will just be the top left corner of the screen, which will be 0, 0, and then the width and height of the image. So I'm just going to say I want it to draw at 128 by 128. Better correct that. So now I have a drawing surface for the image, and I have the image ready to go. So at this point, we can go down to the drawing area. And before we can draw, we need to open the sprite batch. We'll use a sprite batch.begin. And whenever you do that, you're also going to want to close it out. So I'm just going to preemptively add this sprite batch.end. All right. And then you're ready to draw. So we can do sprite batch dot draw. And the texture we want to do is our T2D that we added at the top. And the destination we want to draw it to will be our T2D area. And of course, we're always going to want to set a color. So we'll just use color.white. Now, if we did this right, we should get a dragon on our screen when we run this. Yay, there it is, 128 pixels. So it's scaled up a little bit, and we can actually scale it up more. If we go back up here, and what you're going to start seeing is some blurring if you're using pixel graphics. So I'm going to make it even blurrier here and see what that looks like. All right. So if you want to sharpen, if you're using pixel graphics and you want to sharpen that up, what we can do is we can add a sampler state to our sprite batch. So we can do sampler state. And what we want to do is use the point clamp. So I always do that. Drop that down. And this should sharpen up your pixel graphics a bit when you're using them. You notice how it's a lot more crisp now. So that's kind of a nice feature to remember. All right. So what if we want to do, say we have our tile set, for example. I'm going to see if I can open that in here. You can see these are 16 by 16 tiles, you know, pixel art. And you want to just grab a portion of it. Yeah, if I don't want to just like paint this whole entire image to the screen. I just want a piece of it to display in a certain area on my, say you have a tile map. So what we will do is add another rectangle, and we'll call this one, you can call it anything you want. You can call it source rectangle. I could do T2D source, and we'll say a new rectangle. And the dimensions that we put in here this time will affect where on that tile set it's going to look for the image, or the portion that you want to draw. So if I know that these are 16 by 16, so I'll do 0, 0, 16, 16, and that should grab the very first tile on that tile set. Okay, so now that we have our tile source rectangle set up, I'm going to want to bring in the tile set graphic, or what I can do is just replace out this T2D. So I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to come over here and swap out dragon for tile set. Now currently, if I draw this, it's just going to squeeze that down into a 200 by 200 image on the screen. The entire image will be drawn to that T2D area. So that's what you'll see. So I want to add this source to my drawing routine. And now we have a source rectangle. We can view that. So now we have just the grass tile. Of course, it's being really blown up, but that's okay. We should be able to change the coordinates of that using the left and top values, or the X and Y. So say I want to grab the next tile over. I'll just leave it 16 and 0. And it should change that to the tree that we saw. And then if we want to go down, similarly, we can just change this out to the next 16 tiles down. And you can play games, add multipliers on those, so you don't have to use the whole number, and just multiply the values if all of the sources are square or standardized in your tile set. Because they can be rectangular if you want, but you just have to, if you do multipliers, you want to make sure everything's consistent. So that is pretty much it. The important takeaways here: the sampler state if you're using pixel graphics. If you're using high-res images, you probably don't need that on. You shouldn't be blowing stuff up quite as much. But that's about it. Thank you for joining me. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.